Hi, well, GBS. Thought we'd just do a quick video looking at the differential options on the car. In the last couple of weeks, we've had a few customers asking what the difference is, what type of diffs and limited slip and that when ordering, and just explaining the options. So we've got two diff options within the car. So we've got the Ford type diff, and then we've got the Mazda MX-5 diff that goes in. So depending on whether you're going a donor build or new build or whatever combination, you can run either diff, and we can run a combination of, and we've got different prop shaft options, dry shaft options to use that diff with ATR hubs or so on. But then inside the diff, a lot of people wonder what is the best option. So you've got an open diff, which is a traditional diff that's got no limited slip in it or anything, and how does that affect the handling of the car? And then you've got limited slip diff, and then we've generally got the two options, limited slip, whether it's a automatic torque bias or a proper plated locking diff. So when you're looking at driving the car, it depends a little bit on what you're going to do with the car, how much power you're planning on running. If you're just going to have minimal power road use, you're probably going to be okay just with a standard open diff. If you're going to start pushing it more, especially when you're getting sort of around the 200 horsepower mark and getting it on circuit and driving it a lot harder, that's when you get the advantage of running the limited slip diff. So an open standard diff, what that means is if one wheel loses traction, the power gets diverted to that side. So that wheel will spin up, the car will lose acceleration, lose momentum, and you've wasted power. The idea of the limited slip diff is that you put the power to the wheel that has got the grip, so you maintain as much forward momentum as possible. Then there's two types generally of that, and how they do it and how they behave. So you've got the automatic torque bias diff. That works by a series of gears within the diff that are real high ratio. So as one wheel goes light, so it lets the power go to that, but the gear ratio in that gives enough resistance to then put the power back to the other wheel. They're quite nice in that there's no maintenance on them, there's no noise. They're a very road orientated diff, sort of fit and forget. But you find if you are on track and really driving it hard, they don't quite have that feel and bite and grip as you'd get on the plated diff. The other type of diff, which is the plated diff, works in a different way. So you still have your gears inside, but what happens is your diff loads up, gears naturally try and force themselves apart as you put in the torque, so it's trying to transmit the power, and it wants to push apart these casings. You have a different ramp angle, so you have different angles, so as that moves it wants to push apart. As these push apart, they close up a series of friction plates that grip and lock the diff, so it basically becomes a solid axle across. Then on the car you can vary this by the ramp angle and the amount of preload, so you've basically got a series of beveled washers that stack up that act as a spring on here, which resists that, so you can tune the diff to the characteristics you want on the car. We've spent quite a bit of time playing about with these angles and the amount of preload and that to get it nice, because a lot of people tend to go a little bit too aggressive, which is good on the traction side, but on the downshift and the real engine braking, it can unsettle the car and it gets a little bit unpredictable and a bit jerky. But you generally find the plated diffs are, when you really start pushing it hard and hammering it hard out the corners and really digging in, you do get more grip, more traction. You can really feel the grip a lot nicer. The downside to these is you do get a bit of noise and a bit of clunking, especially at low speed manoeuvring. They do settle down a bit, but if you are in the car park and that, you sometimes can get a few clunks and bangs from it. You also, technically, they do need rebuilding at some point. They are a friction part on these clutch plates, so at some point they will need a bit of a rebuild and a service. Generally though, if it's just road and general track day use, it's years of time. If it's full on motorsport and you're really using it hard, it's probably sooner. A key thing though is to get the right oil in these as well, because it's a friction metal on metal gripping. There's additives in the LSD oil that prevent them from picking up and locking up, so do make sure you get the right oil on the diff type you go with. We offer both diff types for the car. for both the Mazda and the Ford unit, and then we've got quite a few different gear ratios as well in the diff. So depending on what you're doing, you know, if you're more touring in the car and that, would probably go for a slightly higher diff ratio, so it just brings the revs a few hundred revs down for when you're cruising. If you say you're going to do more track days, want it a bit more revvy, and that would go for a lower diff ratio, so it keeps it smaller between the gears, but it will, you know, rev a little bit higher when you're cruising. So we've got a few options there. We can talk you through all the options, discuss that, you know, when you're looking to order your kit or your car, and go from there. But just thought it'd be a good video just to give people an idea, because a lot of people do ask questions on it. But thank you for watching. Hope you like the video, and like and subscribe.